Zoya, the main character of this video, is 100 days on hardcore. Zoya is not just an ordinary girl, but a girl with a very complicated fate. And this will be a truly hardcore video, as our Zoya is disabled. She has an implant instead of a leg, and unfortunately that's not all. But what other difficulties she has, you will find out later. Before the video starts, make sure to subscribe and give it a like. 2 years ago, Zoya was living an ordinary life, unaware that her world would soon be turned upside down. While working in a store, she found new homes for many animals that she loved so much. But fate had its own plans. One day, while returning from work, she noticed a small, defenseless puppy standing in the path of the cars. One more step, and it would have been gone. Zoya could not remain indifferent to the poor puppy on the road and decided to help. She didn't consider the risks and, without thinking, hurriedly rushed to help the little puppy. But fate had other plans. 2 trucks sped by and a gust of wind threw Zoya onto the road, where she was hit by a car. She was lucky that the car braked in time. The impact was not strong, resulting in a slight scare, some bruises. The rescued puppy ended up in her caring hands. She took it to a shelter. Although the car did not seriously injure Zoya, she began to have problems with her leg. At first it was just a severe bruise, but with each passing day, the pain grew stronger and her leg became swollen and red. Doctors discovered an infection caused by a small wound on the leg, and despite all treatment attempts, it was necessary to make the decision to amputate. Zoya faced a difficult road to recovery after the amputation. Each day became increasingly challenging and her financial situation worsened. Losing her job only worsened the situation. From the moment the money started to run out, Zoya was forced to sell her house and move into a modest tent. She tried to find a new job, but all her efforts were in vain. She received rejection after rejection at interviews, and the reasons were a mystery to her. Every new venture ended in failure, and it seemed to her that her world was collapsing before her eyes. During her next visit to the doctor, Zoya learned about new difficulties. This time she had to complain about joint pain, and the diagnosis was devastating: Hashimoto's disease. This meant that she would be troubled by constant pain in her joints and bones, and without medication, her condition would only worsen. Thus, Zoya faced a simultaneous struggle with pain and her illness, and emotional turmoil. In her struggle against illness and financial difficulties, Zoya faced an abyss of despair. Every day her funds were spent on doctors, medications, and tests, and the state of health would have seemed hopeless. But in the dark labyrinth of illness, a ray of hope slowly but surely began to shine through. Her new treating doctor decided to help her gather all the necessary documentation to apply for disability benefits. Zoya gathered documents and visited doctors to confirm her diagnosis, and finally she was granted a disability pension at a rate of $400 a day. This money became not only a source of financial support for her, but also a ray of light in her dark world, offering hope for a better future. Zoya immersed herself in the world of computers and the internet, seeking answers and support in online communities dedicated to fighting her illnesses. She delved into more reading materials on how to overcome the challenges she faced. Communicating on forums with people going through the same challenges and trials and experiences brought her some relief. However, the constant and persistent headaches and the unfortunate need to take pills daily, slowly and steadily, began to undermine her mental balance. She felt that she was losing her deep inner strength, sinking into her despair. She often felt that her legs were going numb and she was losing sensation in them. This filled her with greater dread. Under the influence of her friends' words on the forum, Zoya felt the strength within her to face the challenges thrown at her by fate. Deciding to accept herself as she is, she resolved not to back down from her fears and anxieties. Therefore, after continuous contemplation, she bravely set off to the park located near the stable, where she felt she could find inner peace. Amidst the picturesque nature of the park and the noble horses, Zoya hoped to find not only peace but also new acquaintances. She dreamed of a person who would be by her side, someone who could support her during this difficult period of life. Zoe's heart was open to new opportunities and new acquaintances. However, her interactions with men didn't go particularly well. They spoke to her normally but seemed eager to leave quickly. Then one of the guys showed Zoe more interest than the others, and she liked that feeling. He even asked for her phone number and said that they would call her, and he left. This inspired Zoe. She envisioned a happy future with this guy as she drove home. In the evening, she sat by the campfire, joyfully throwing something into the flames. But life on the street brought her disappointment. It started to rain, and she didn't manage to put away her laptop, and it broke. Another guy she met called her and said that he likes Judith. Apparently, he sees her as a friend, or he just wants to tease her. But the call from Angela gave Zoe hope. He informed her about his difficulties and asked if he could stay with her for a couple of days. Zoe was not even embarrassed by this offer, as she wanted to show herself as a good friend who could help in a difficult moment. When Angela arrived, he was constantly gloomy and talked about his problems with Judith. But Zoe tried to calm him down and support him, but the rain and the broken computer prevented them from enjoying the evening together. Despite all this, Zoe did not lose heart and continued to try to support Angela during his difficult time. Zoe did not stop her visits to the doctors and regularly took her pills. Despite all the difficulties, she tried not to lose hope and continued to fight for her health. It was a difficult trial for her, but she resolutely moved forward and aspired to a better life. Zoe could not believe what had happened to Angelo. His sudden loss was an absolutely genuine shock for her. However, in despair, she turned to death, pleading to spare her friend's life. And in a remarkable way, life returned to Angelo. This incident only strengthened their bond, and Zoe hoped that now he would see in her more than just a friend. After a while, the new neighbor invited them over to get acquainted. A friendship developed between Zoe and this girl. Angela informed Zoe that things had worked out with Judith. It's sad. Zoe occasionally communicated with her new friend over the phone, and one day, she invited her to have some fun at the bar. She accepted her friend's invitation and, looking forward to a good time, headed to the bar. It was a wonderful way to distract herself from her own disappointments and worries. In the bar, Zoe and her friend had a wonderful time, enjoying the music, dancing, and chatting. In that moment, Zoe felt that life is indeed full of opportunities and new encounters, and she is ready to open herself up to new emotions and adventures. But then, unexpectedly for her, a man approached her, showing attention and interest. The encounter with this mysterious stranger made Zoe's heart beat faster. She didn't even expect such attention and attraction from someone after all these problems and disappointments. At first, she received his attention with skepticism, but gradually began to open up under his influence. Their walk in the fresh air, away from the hustle and bustle of the city, indeed became a special moment for Zoe when she felt free and happy. However, returning home reminded her of reality, that she still had a connection with Angela, who seemed to suddenly show new interest in her. Mixed feelings and thoughts confused Zoe. She didn't know what to do next, whether to trust her emotions and reach out to this stranger, or to remain loyal to her feelings for Angela despite all his difficulties. The path to the choice that lay before Zoe certainly seemed difficult and confusing. Late Saturday evening, Robert, the guy from the bar, called and suggested going to a party. Of course, yes, Zoe went to the party, full of hope that this night would bring her new experiences and opportunities, even interesting acquaintances. She hoped that meeting Robert would indeed be the beginning of something exhilarating and thrilling. However, when she arrived at the party, Robert had disappeared, leaving her in confusion. Everything around seemed so bright and pulsating, but indeed her inner state was mixed. A feeling of disappointment broke through the excitement and thrill. Despite this, Zoe decided not to leave and to try to enjoy the evening in the company of other people and music. After all, she came here to distract herself and have fun. By the way, she danced just as well as the others. She even organized dance battles and spent half the evening dancing with some man. but it was just dancing and nothing more. But towards the end of the party, another man approached her to dance, and he was very taken with her. The encounter with the mysterious stranger became a special moment. Their dancing turned into something more than just moving to the rhythm of the music. It was a deep and meaningful connection of two souls, immersed in a world of dance and music where time stood still. Lying on the dance floor amidst the pulsating music and shimmering stars, Zoya experienced a sense of being free and vibrant and happy. This moment became exceptional, but as often happens, morning came too soon, and it was time to say goodbye. They knew that their journeys were diverging, but in that moment they simply enjoyed the moment together. For a brief moment, Zoya indeed found herself in a difficult position, faced with a choice between three guys who piqued her interest. She feels that indeed each of them brings something special into her life, making the choice even more difficult. The first guy was Angela, who led her to considerable thoughts about what could be between them. The second guy triggered a special surge of emotions and fun in her, although he disappeared after inviting her to the party. Finally, the third guy she met at the bar is a mysterious enigma, and she is very drawn to his mysteriousness and intrigue. But Zoya decided to take a slightly longer break from her personal life and concentrate on her dreams and interests. She decided not to make any decisions regarding these three men, and to ultimately let fate carefully take its course. Instead, she ultimately decided to focus on her dream of buying a horse, which is an important source of joy and satisfaction for her. It is important that this break will help her better understand her feelings and realize what she truly wants from life and relationships. She buys a horse that she names Happiness, as it is indeed exactly what brings her happiness and joy. And right after the purchase, she gets on her horse and gallops home. Her happiness knows no bounds. Upon returning home, Zoya devoted all her attention to her new friend, Happiness. She took care of him and bought everything necessary for his care and comfort. As the days went by, Zoya grew closer to her horse. They spent a lot of time together, walking along the meadows, and Zoya began to understand the language of Happiness, as if reading its thoughts through its gaze and movements. The horse, in turn, responded to Zoya with the same loyalty. It loved its new home and began to show joy and playfulness, playing with a ball and jumping across the fields, as if supporting Zoya's optimism and happiness. Zoya decided to get closer to her dream of participating in equestrian competitions and began training to jump over obstacles on her horse in order to eventually take first place. The first training sessions did not go smoothly. Zoya sometimes struggled to jump, and at times the horse did not want to follow commands and even threw Zoya off. But this was just the first experience. The morning after a challenging day of training, Zoya decided that it was important to have not just one dream, but also to strive for a variety of achievements. She made the decision to create a bee house, seeing it as an opportunity not only to earn money from honey, but also to participate in the preservation of nature. In addition to this, Zoya was happy that she was accepted for a job in technical support. This was the first step towards returning to an active life and moving forward. After work, fate takes everything into its own hands, and Robert suggests meeting Zoya. They are having a great time together, smoking hookah and enjoying drinks. But at the end of the evening, Robert simply gets up and leaves, leaving Zoya with a feeling of confusion. After all, she never understood whether they were dating, if they were together or not, and whether they could be called a couple. In short, having understood nothing, Zoya also heads home. At home, she very happily pets her loyal horse and with great care lovingly continues with her riding training. Today she is already doing better, although she feels discomfort from falling off the horse, and her illness is not letting her rest. Her bones ache doubly, both from the fall and from the illness. Zoya continues her usual life, dedicating time to training with her horse, taking care of it, and attending to her work. But now Robert is inviting her on a date again. Perhaps this is truly fate, as the other two guys never reached out to her after their previous meetings. Deciding to give him a chance, Zoya agrees to another date with Robert, although there remains some uncertainty in her heart. And hope for something more? Zoe and Robert enjoy each other on a date surrounded by an atmosphere of tenderness and mutual attraction. They couldn't take their eyes off each other, immersed in shared feelings and emotions. Robert very openly expressed his feelings, telling Zoe that she brings him immense pleasure. Towards the end of the evening, he even suggested that they move in together and start a new life by buying a small house. Now they were both ready to open a new chapter in their lives, starting with a clean slate and inspired by the love they had found in each other. In the new house, Robert showed care not only for Zoe but also for her horse, making sure that it had everything necessary for a comfortable stay. After that, they both went into the house, where Robert lit the fireplace, creating a cozy and warm atmosphere. Exhausted from the move, they settled onto the soft couch in front of the fireplace and dozed off in each other's arms, feeling close to one another. After the break, a romantic evening began, filled with tenderness and passion, lasting until late at night as they enjoyed moments of happiness in their new home. But after a pleasant evening, Zoe learned that Robert does not share her desire to have children. This new discovery could become a serious test for their relationship. Zoe contemplated how important motherhood was to her and whether she was willing to sacrifice that idea for Robert. It is unknown how this will affect their relationship and whether they will be able to find a compromise. It is still too early to draw any conclusions. Diving into the world of horseback riding, Zoe and Robert discovered new horizons in this exciting hobby and an unexpected unity in their feelings. Robert, watching Zoe during training, gradually felt the desire to try this sport. As soon as he was in the saddle, sparks ignited in his eyes, and he felt that this was something more than just a fun pastime. But it wasn't horseback riding that became a bridge between them. When Zoe went to work, Robert spent time with his new four-legged friend, playing with and caring for the horse. Their mutual passion and care for the horse created a special bond between them, bringing joy and satisfaction from the time spent together. Robert has become less active at work lately. He used to be a DJ at bars, but now he prefers to spend time at home with friends instead of going to work. However, this change in behavior could have been part of his grand plan. He decided to do something special for Zoe and bought her another horse, a snow-white marshmallow. One beautiful day, when Zoe returned from work, she found Robert in a beautiful white suit sitting on a horse by the house. He met her with a proposal to gently and sincerely marry him, kneeling down on one knee. Despite the doubts and disagreements regarding future children, Zoe agreed. This event brought them both joy and satisfaction, and they decided to celebrate by going horseback riding together. Despite all difficulties, Zoe found the strength and courage to move forward. With the acquisition of a new friend, like the horse Zephyr, and new prospects in her relationship with Robert, she felt that her life was filled with meaning and joy. With Robert, they continued to build their relationship, overcoming disagreements and obstacles. Together, they realized that the important thing is to support and respect one another in difficult moments. Zoe decided that despite his desire not to have children, she would find her happy medium between her dreams and reality. Their life began to resemble a wonderful fairy tale, where each day was filled with new adventures and opportunities. She remained true to her dream and passion for horseback riding. Together with Robert, they discovered a new way to get closer and strengthen their bond through this. And like the heroes of their story, they continued to journey through life, stepping forward with determination, ready to embrace all the challenges and joys that the future brings them. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give a thumbs up, leave your comment, join us on Telegram, and see you next time.